WWE legend Dutch Mantell has made his opinion clear regarding the recent trend of Liv Morgan taking extreme punishment in her matches, a style that has earned her both admiration and criticism. Morgan has certainly pushed her limits in the ring, notably showing off visible scars from her brutal street fight with Rhea Ripley, an untelevised WWE event in Germany. Additionally, her notorious clash with Bianca Belair during the Elimination Chamber event, where a vicious hair whip left a severe cut across Morgan's midsection, only added fuel to the fire. While WWE fans may be applauding Morgan for her toughness, Mantell isn't entirely convinced that this approach is beneficial for Brand or for Morgan herself. In a recent episode of his Storytime with Dutch Mantell podcast, the veteran wrestling manager voiced strong disapproval of the violent direction Morgan's character has taken. According to Mantell, while Morgan is an impressive and attractive performer, the level of violence that she's been exposed to in recent months might not be the best choice for her career or for the WWE product. Liv Morgan's a good-looking woman. She's a very nice, attractive woman. And as far as me, I want to see them in the ring, but I don't want to see them all messed up, Mantell said during his podcast. He went on to criticize the notion of female wrestlers engaging in bleeding or excessive physical punishment, claiming that it doesn't contribute positively to the wrestling business. He continued, "If somebody said, 'What about the women bleeding?' I would have said, 'No, hell no. We don't need to do that. I don't think that sells you any tickets.'" Mantell's comments highlight a growing debate in the wrestling world about the balance between physicality and entertainment. WWE has become known for incorporating high-risk spots and extreme match types, especially in recent years, and Liv Morgan has undeniably embraced the physicality that comes with those styles. While the fans' reaction is often one of admiration for her resilience, there are questions about whether it's sustainable or truly beneficial in the long term. In Morgan's case, her involvement in extreme matches, including hardcore brawls and brutal spots like the street fight against Rhea Ripley, have become a part of her persona. The bloodshed and visible scars she's earned in these matches have garnered attention on social media and among fans who admire her for her fearlessness. However, this comes with risks, both physical and career-related. Mantell, who has been in the wrestling business for decades, points out that the level of violence being showcased may not be the best strategy for long-term success, especially for female wrestlers who are expected to appeal to a broader audience. He argues that while intense matches and high spots may draw on some fans in the short term, the long-term impact might not be as favorable. The question of whether female wrestlers should be engaging in the same level of violence as their male counterparts has been a topic of much debate. While many fans champion female wrestlers like Morgan for breaking barriers and proving their toughness, there's an argument to be made about the potential dangers and consequences of pushing these limits too far. The WWE Women's Division has made immense strides in recent years, with wrestlers like Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, and Sasha Banks paving the way for female performers to be taken more seriously in the ring. However, with that growth has come an increased level of physicality, and some worry that this shift could eventually harm the image of women in the business. Wrestling legends like Mantell, who have witnessed the evolution of the sport, believe that the focus should shift back to storytelling, character development, and technical wrestling rather than relying on high-risk spots and excessive violence to get attention. According to Mantell, this kind of violence may only appeal to a niche audience and ultimately fails to serve the broader purpose of professional wrestling entertainment. We need to focus on making them stars, making them characters that people want to see, not just getting them to bleed and get hurt, he added. As for Liv Morgan, her journey in WWE has been filled with challenges and triumphs. She has earned the respect of fans and peers alike for her work ethic and dedication to her craft. But the question remains, does her commitment to taking extreme punishment elevate her career, or is it putting her at risk of injury and long-term consequences? While there's no denying that Morgan's willingness to endure pain and perform in extreme matches makes her stand out in WWE's crowded roster, it's also worth considering whether this approach will help her establish a lasting legacy. WWE fans are drawn to her fiery spirit, but there's always a concern that, like many other wrestlers before her, pushing herself to the limit might come at a high personal cost. In the end, it's clear that while Liv Morgan's resilience has earned her admiration, it's also raised concerns about the sustainability of her intense in-ring style. As Dutch Mantell suggests, The focus in professional wrestling should be on creating compelling stories and characters that engage the audience without relying too heavily on blood and violence. The question now is whether Morgan will be able to strike a balance between pushing her physical limits and preserving her long-term health and career in WWE. Dutch Mantell criticizes Liv Morgan's violent style despite WWE success. Liv Morgan has quickly risen to prominence in WWE, becoming a top star and a key member of the Judgment Day faction alongside Dominic Mysterio and Raquel Rodriguez. Her resilience and fearlessness in the ring have earned her admiration from fans and the respect of her peers. However, WWE legend Dutch Mantell has made it clear that he doesn't believe that the extreme violence Morgan has endured in her matches is the right path for long-term success. Mantell, a seasoned veteran of the wrestling business, has expressed concerns about the increasing level of punishment Morgan is taking in the ring. Though he acknowledges her talent and appeal, especially as one of the leading female stars in WWE, Mantell doesn't buy into the idea that bleeding, bruises, and battle scars are what will ultimately sell tickets. Half your audience is female, and I don't think the females, although they may not like Liv Morgan, they don't want to see her beat down like that with scars all over. Mantell said on a Storytime with Dutch Mantell podcast. His comments reflect a long-standing view in wrestling. While physicality and violence may draw in certain audiences, there is a broader fan base, particularly female viewers, who may not find these elements appealing. Mantell's criticism specifically targets the potential impact of scars. A scar on a woman is one of the worst things you can have, especially her face, he added, underscoring his discomfort with the idea of women in WWE suffering significant physical damage as part of their characters. He admitted that while he respects Morgan's toughness, he's not a fan of the level of violence being showcased in her matches. Morgan has certainly embraced this more brutal style. Her street fight against Rhea Ripley at an untelevised WWE event in Germany, and her showdown with Bianca Belair at Elimination Chamber, where a hair whip left a noticeable cut on Morgan's midsection, are just a few examples of the extreme punishment she's endured. A scar on a woman is one of the worst things you can have, especially her face, he added, underscoring his discomfort with the idea of women in WWE suffering significant physical damage as part of their characters. He admitted that while he respects Morgan's toughness, he's not a fan of the level of violence being showcased in her matches. Morgan has certainly embraced this more brutal style. Her street fight against Rhea Ripley at an untelevised WWE event in Germany, and her showdown with Bianca Belair at Elimination Chamber, where a hair whip left a noticeable cut on Morgan's midsection, are just a few examples of the extreme punishment she's endured.
If you love your father, then subscribe the channel, and those who love me show your love by liking and subscribing.